That was so cool. That was so cool. Thank you so much for bearing with me too on all my IT support. You're just born for this. You're so good at it. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Zach from. Sorry, I bumped my mic.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the So Rude podcast. My name is Paige Ruderman, and today I am so excited to welcome a special guest to the show. Zachary Dando is an Astros pitcher turned artist and member of the rising band Dando. Formed by three Colorado natives, the group Dando brings a fresh and dynamic sound that defies traditional genres, blending elements of country, hip hop, reggae, and pop. They have forged their own unique style, Rocky Mountain music, a genre as bold and free-spirited as the landscape that inspires them. I met Zach when he, along with Heath and Ethan, the other members of the band Dando, were visiting Nashville, Tennessee for the NSAI Tin Pan South seminar in 2024. I am so excited to dive into Zach's journey from stealing bases to building beats, finding his artistic sound and the band's writing process, their upcoming EP, and more. Zach, thank you so much for coming on the So Rude podcast.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And I know it took us like a little bit of maneuvering to finally land this day, but I'm glad we found a time to connect.
Yeah, me too. Me too. There's for all you guys out there, you'll figure out, I'm sure, that I'm not the most tech savvy person in here. So I'm glad that Paige was patient enough for me to make this happen. So thank you so much.
Of course, we made it work. So
Sure.
you're calling in from Colorado, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What is Colorado like? I've never been. I've really never been out west. So,
Oh, it's awesome. They call us where we're at. They call us Flatlanders. So we're not quite at the mountains. We're at the base of the mountains where everything comes in. We're actually about 45 minutes southeast of Denver. We have a really cool spot over here. My wife's a horse trainer, so we got about 40 acres out here to do whatever we need to, and has a pretty amazing aesthetic for all the music that we're creating too. So it's gorgeous out here. It gets pretty dang cold. I'll tell you what. We got a little polar vortex, I guess, rolling in this week. I got all the horses primed and ready to go. And I know Gabby's excited to get through this week so that we can get to the warm weather. But once it does get warm out here, it's absolutely gorgeous. You'll love it. And you'll have to come out here and we'll write some songs to this backdrop because it's just gorgeous.
yeah, I hear like the hiking and the nature out there is just next level.
It sure is. I mean, and we're just so active as a state too. I mean, you'll find so many people and everybody's so stinking friendly out here, especially on those hiking trails. Once you get outside of Denver, everybody's real friendly. Denver's a little hustle and bustle now than what it used to be. But once you get out there on those trails, you'll find so many like-minded people doing the same thing. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So I know I shared a little bit about your background and I glossed over your experience in baseball very briefly. But if you don't mind taking us back just a minute, growing up, was baseball always the dream? When did you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, I mean, up until the day I was drafted, I never said that I was going to be anything other than a baseball player, not a fireman, not an astronaut. From the time I can ever remember a teacher being in 5 years old, 6 years old in first grade, asking what you want to be when you grow up, I always said baseball player. And that's what I did. It was where my identity was, and it was so easy for me to just fall in love with practice. You know what I mean? So it was just a natural that, and my dad was just such an incredible father. I'm so lucky to have him. His will to help me get better, but let me get better on my own, and to just fuel my love for the game was incredible. He coached me my whole career, and wouldn't have gone anywhere near the top where I went without him. So.
That's incredible. What position did you play?
So I was a pitcher. I was a right-handed pitcher. I bet maybe if I was left-handed, I might be able to still be doing it right now. But it gets pretty dang competitive once you get up there. You go through high school as I was one of the top arms in Colorado. I went to a small school in Arizona, but we were a dominant team. The team I was on, it was in Central Arizona, was ranked first in the country. We lost in the national championship, on a walk-off home run in the 10th. So it was pretty memorable. And then, once I got up to pro ball, I mean, everybody's just so stinking good. The best player on LSU, the best player at Tennessee, the best player in the whole country is who you're going up against. And then you get introduced to, all the Dominicans and the Japanese guys, and they're just amazing. They have a whole different way of learning, way of going about baseball. So just seeing that and being able to compete at that level is something that I'll just cherish forever, because it was just so difficult to keep pushing through at a certain level, just like anything else. You know what I mean? So I think it was a really good prepper for where music it was going to take me.
Yeah. Talk me through like a traditional day playing baseball, because I like growing up in high school, middle school, college, you see all those athletes and it's like they're balancing schoolwork and classes and parties and going out with friends with training and lifting and games, etc. But like what's it like once you get to like the Astros level? Because I feel like it's probably really different.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest part was going from college, right, where you do have these slotted times for practice, slotted times for this, to going to, oh my gosh, I'm totally free to work on my game whenever I want. So that was the biggest adjustment for me in the best way. All right, like I didn't have a whole bunch of us. I got drafted at, I think I was 20, maybe just turned 20. So, I wasn't able to drink or anything, go out for the first pretty much 2 years, it felt like. So it was really easy to just consume with baseball. I was just able to, my whole schedule opened up, and I was so passionate and so hungry for improvement. It was so nice to be able to just go, okay, this is my job. This is my way of life. But yeah, I mean, typically, especially once you get to the pros, you wake up at, whatever time you want to wake up. I was always an early riser. So I always would try to get, a run or something in real early, come home, eat as much food as possible because you're burning so many calories, right? And then you come home at about 8 or 9, 10 o'clock sometimes. Then you have a little bit of time, so you have to go to the field. Then you cruise to the field at about I'd say 2 o'clock usually. I was a bullpen guy, so my day didn't start till the seventh inning. So right, so it didn't start till about 9 o'clock. So everybody cruised to the field about starters. Those kind of guys get to the field at about 12. Start their early work doing, just getting the body loose, going everywhere, and then you pretty much have practice from about 2 to 5, 2 to 5:30. Then you get a little bit of downtime before the game starts. Then you actually throw your uniform on, go through your whole entire routine, all your pregame routine, and get right mentally. And then funny for bullpen guys, because then you just sit down until it's pretty fun. You get to be in the bullpen and watch the sunset, and then once that sun starts to set pretty low, you're like, all right, it's probably time to get ready. I'm probably going to be going in here soon. So wait till you get called, throw as hard as you can for as long as you can, and hopefully you don't give up too many home runs or doubles or anything like that, and wake up and do it all again. You probably leave the field, finish about, I don't know, games finish about 9:30. Then you go to the tub, get all your, all your recovery stuff done, shower. By the time you're done, you're at the field from like 2 to 11:30. So it's a full solid day, and 162 games. It's just what you do. I think that's kind of why people really can relate to the sport of baseball also, right? It's a working man sport. So I think people really like to see people go to work every day. And I think it's easy to look up to those type of players, and especially in baseball and hockey type of guys too, because they're just working men that are doing it every day.
Totally. And I played like a few sports growing up, but like definitely not. I didn't stick with anything real. I kind of dabbled. So I just find it fascinating. And I think that the work ethic that comes from an athlete, I just think that that's like a next level version of self-discipline. And so I'm just so fascinated by that world because it's not something I'm used to. So I know we talked a little bit about your background in baseball. I'm so excited to dig into you as an artist. But is there anything else about your background that we may have missed that you'd like to share to learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I guess a good question would probably be like, where did your love of music come from? Like, how did that start to go? And I would say right in minor league baseball. When I was playing minor league baseball, you have so much time on the road, you have so much time traveling, and we bust it. When I play, I didn't make it up to the major leagues, so we took buses everywhere. I remember when I was playing up in Canada, we took a trip from Canada to the tip of Texas and back up to wait for our field to thaw out, right? Because when we started in the spring, it was still so cold in Canada. So we just headed straight down to Texas, played all kinds of teams on the way down, all kinds of teams on the way up. So during that time, you have so much to do. And that was when I really fell in love with music. I mean, I always have been a hip hop head. I grew up listening to hip hop. That was definitely, especially for the motivational aspects of it, for the intensity aspects of it, it was such a natural way to get hyped, right? Right. I just feel like those type of beats, those type of that hunger was always something that helped push me. So I mean, I just would throw on phones, listen to everything, and then I eventually started kind of trying to write my own stuff. Just jotting it down here, there, more of a personal diary type of deal where I would also reflect on baseball. And also reflect on my last outing, and then then I pop the headphones on and throw some beats on when I get tired of listening to the same old stuff, and just kind of started writing then, and never took it serious. Just like I said, really more for journaling and clearing my mind and talking trash, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that was really where my love for music started to really blossom in passion. And then, you start screwing around with your friends. Now you're all in a hotel room and we're all freestyling, doing karaoke, joking around, and then it get a little false confidence from your friend. They're like, "You sound good." And you're like, "No, bro, you just sound like trash." Like, so it was super fun to just come up about it with that, and when we were coming up, it was for me such a great time in hip hop. There was, J. Cole, Wale, Big Sean was just coming out. And Kendrick was just getting hot, especially when he came out with Good Kid, Mad City. That was, just played over and over and over and over again on repeat, and we all vibe to it. And then you go to the locker room, and then one person gets the aux cord, and whoever's got the best playlist, and you're just dying to do whatever you can. And then I started taking over the aux cord, and now the whole locker room's starting to have a blast just listening to music together. So I'd say that's really where the crossover began.
That's awesome. Did you ever experiment with like playing any instruments growing up, or was it really diving into the artists that really connected with you while traveling on the road that you were like, wow, I have a true passion for this?
No, and that's actually going to be my job going forward. It's time to learn an instrument, and I'm really excited to learn an instrument. I'm starting with harmonica, so I'm super pumped
Nice.
yeah, super pumped to dive into it. It's embarrassing right now, but like that's just how it goes. Once I get some hours under my belt, we'll start to sound pretty good. But just getting started with that. But no, growing up, that's not what music was to me. Music was beats. Music was just rapping on beat. It was always just type into YouTube, Lil Wayne type instrumentals, Dr. Dre type instrumentals, and we would just put them on and have a blast. So music was never that for me, and I think that's what makes us unique as a unit is all three of us have to come together to make music. So I think that's been such a fun part of the journey is going, okay, how do we level up? I don't want to just be the face of something and the voice of something. It's time to learn. It's time to grow, and it's time to level up. So that's a great question.
Yeah. And you mentioned the three of you. So Ethan and Heath are the other two members that make up the project Dando. How did y'all meet? Like, tell me more about that team that you've built and the pieces that y'all bring.
Yeah, so they're the Davis brothers. Heath and Ethan are brothers. We all played sports growing up. So Heath and Ethan played Division I football. So they are amazing athletes as well. So I first met Heath in the baseball scene when we were in high school. We're all from the same area, all from the same city, Aurora. And we met Heath in high school. He went to a rival high school, and I just knew that he was fast. Word on the street is that this dude is the fastest dude around. And it was so true. We knew of each other. We never really hung out, but one of the first times we met was on the baseball field. And I happened to be playing first base, and Heath just got on first. And I was like, "What's up, bro? I've heard a lot about you, yada, yada, yada." Just talking it up casual on the field. And the pitcher picked off, and Heath stole. So he went to steal. This is my most athletic moment in my career. I chased Heath down from behind and tagged him. And I'll never forget, because I was pretty fast too. And I'll never forget how excited I was. He just had a little misread and a misstep, but I was able to throw a little tag on his back. And after that, our circles, we just ended up hanging out with the same people after that game. And that's kind of how we met. But then we all went our separate ways. And Ethan's a little bit older than us, a couple years older than us. So he was playing football up at UNC in Colorado. And he was getting ready for the draft. He was a big draft prospect, had a couple of injuries that he wasn't able to get through at the very end. But they are just ultra competitive, ultra fast, ultra strong, ultra competitors. So, while I was playing pro ball, they were doing football and baseball. Heath ended up finishing out college playing baseball. And while that was going on, we, kind of did our own things. They started doing music on their own. They had these little side projects that they were doing. They were part of a really successful band. And I knew a member from that band that we were doing the same thing. I met him in the car and we were freestyling at this little party that we were all kind of at. And the next day they're like, you should come through and sing for us. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. But I mean, I'll come through, I guess, and jam. Well, I got there and the whole band was there and they just handed me a mic and they were like, here we go. So Heath was on the keys, Ethan was shredding it on the guitar as always, and then we just started to develop this relationship that felt so genuine. It was just like, oh man, we all enjoyed playing together, and unfortunately that band ended up kind of fizzling out and breaking up. Ethan called me one day and was like, "Bro, can you meet here? Let's try to come up with something." I remember we were listening. I hopped in his car and I was like, "What's up, bro? What do you want to talk about?" And we were listening to Hardy just dropped Crow and the Mockingbird or something. I think that
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like
That's a
that.
great album.
Yeah, it just came out, and so we were just bumping to that, talking, and then Ethan was just like, "Do you want to do this, bro? Do you want to make our own music?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it, man. Like I'm in, I'm all in." And then we went and got together next time. And we wrote Backroads, and then once that got done, we all just started to come together, and we just love writing music. I would say that's our biggest strength is we love writing music. So it was pretty cool to have all of our stories as athletes. The thing that we thought was the most important thing that was going to be what's going to take us to this point, and then we all come together in this totally different realm and go, okay, let's start from the bottom and go forward. So it's been pretty cool with those guys.
So you describe yourself as Rocky Mountain music. How did you land on that genre of blending country? Because it sounds like you listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap. You've spoken to your love of that. You just mentioned Hardy's Mockingbird and the Crow, which is like he does like a really interesting thing where the first half of the album is very like traditional country and then it changes for the second half, which is like really, really cool. So how did you guys develop that sound that you would be chasing together?
Yeah, the Davis brothers, they come from a family that is just all music. I mean, and they're all feel. Their dad taught them how to play. They didn't grow up playing music in school or in a choir or anything like that. They all just got together at family reunions and everybody made music. I would call them, Oklahoma red dirt type boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's their style. So, when you throw all that together, that really is where we came up with that term. Rocky Mountain music is, for me, the West Coast, the Snoop Dogs, the E40s, the Mac Dre's, all of that stuff is still West Coast, and we are in the West, and we
Yeah.
all grew up, especially in the football locker room and baseball locker room, listening to that. But we were also able to go, okay, when did that exist? When did those genres come together? I think that's really where we're trying to hit home is, we're not trying to just have hip hop and country slam together. I think it's close right now with where the movement's at. I think it's closer than it's ever been to being interpreted correctly, at least in my vision, right? That's what I see for it. But I think that if you actually can take it back to a time of outlaws, gangsters, Wild West, I think that's where all this comes together. I really do. And I think that there can be such this amazing synergy if we can get some of these West Coast banger beats on this true genre of music that is country. I mean, so many people are going to say it is or it isn't country, but at the end of the day, the person who makes it is what decides if it's country or not,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's really where we're at is just trying to go. Let's create this synergy because I feel like if we can create this atmosphere that people aren't intimidated to come into, but if we can create a lane where artists can go, hey, I want to go be an outlaw. Here's my persona back in this era. I think we can get this gorgeous idea of what this hip hop country fusion that's trying to happen, but give it its own path so that it can keep growing and going.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of the conversation that surrounds Chapel Roan, where like before she blew up and is who she is today, like she had a more typical singer-songwriter vibe, but it was like when she adopted the persona Chapel Roan and was able to build an identity around this music and her vision as an artist, like that's when she started to find success. And so I think that's really cool that you guys are following a similar path as far as like, okay, so you're three people that all have these like extensive background influences you have a sound that you're chasing, but you're creating a persona around it that helps people buy into the community. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's what's also intimidating, right? As an artist, I think it's not easy when people ask you what kind of music you make, and you're like country, reggae, hip hop. We make good music, right? We make good
Yeah.
music, and we make our own music. I think one of the coolest things has been able to see how important it is to incorporate pop. I would never have ever called myself a pop type person, a pop type artist. Pop never really hit me. But if you're trying to reach multiple demographics, pop is one of the biggest slices around. You have everything from Sabrina Carpenter to Michael Jackson in pop. So I think those are the things that artists need to understand, that for people to interpret your music properly, you might have to incorporate elements that other people are familiar with, that your listeners, your future listeners are with. Plus you got to know how to write a chorus, right? You got to know
Yeah.
how to write a chorus. If you can't write a good chorus, it's going to be tough to make it. So I think focusing on that with your identity is where you can truly grow as an artist in going, okay, now this is my demographic. You can see, you think of your demographic as this massive bowl, but if we can get that bowl to get a little fountain on the end of it, now we can start to see who was our target demographic. And I think hitting that target demographic and making music for the people that enjoy your music is the most important thing.
Totally, because the most casual listener is going to know the chorus, ideally, right? That's the part. It gets repeated, people learn it, they can sing along to it. I will admit, I didn't grow up listening to a ton of hip hop and rap, but like Eminem was one of my brother's favorite artists. So, like, Eminem's choruses are a pop chorus, especially with all his featured artists on there. And it's really going to be your diehard fans. They're going to be the ones that are digging into the verses and trying to learn the stories behind it. So I think you're spot on with like, if you want to reach a bigger demographic, you need something that's going to catch their ear, and then you'll have something for the people that are really getting behind what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And to not be afraid to do that. I think there's a lot of people that in this industry that would quote unquote call that selling out. Well, if you haven't really made it, you can't really sell out. you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like you got to do what you got to do to get your place. And the reality is that's why we're doing this. You know what I mean? You can't make a living in this business off of Spotify. You can't. I mean, you'd have to be putting up probably 1 million streams a month if you have anybody on your team to be able to distribute that. You know what I mean? Everything else is going to be funded out of your own pocket, and it's less romantic. But end of the day, those type of things, those type of platforms are your portfolio. And if you're not willing to do what needs to be done to increase those portfolios and stimulate that algorithm every day, it is where we're at in music. It's going to be a lot tougher road, or you're going to have some extremely loyal fans that you're really lucky and you nailed it the first time, and you can just cater only to those people that you knew right away. But most of our listeners found us. You know what I mean? This isn't from having somebody put us on, or a famous celebrity endorse us. That's just not how it happens. It's okay, this is what the music that we made. Here's a demographic that enjoys it. How do we tell our story, stay true, be ourselves to our numbers?
No, that's really great insight, especially like you're independent, right? So it's like when you're independent, before you have the backing of a specific label or publisher or imprint or whatever saying like this is what you need to be, it's kind of like you're in test mode. You're trying to figure out where do I land? And I think sometimes people get so scared. They're like, "Well, I've done this. I have to stay with this." And it's just like until you really figure out your secret sauce, like it's all about experimenting until you land what the outcome you're looking for.
100%, 100%. And I mean, we were talking about the other day, just prepping for the show. And I just think that goes hand in hand with what are you willing to do, right? What are you willing to do for your career? I know, I can understand how making reels can really bother some people. Some people aren't willing to do that. But the reality is that's the world that we live in. Your fans can only see you for 15 seconds a day, mostly. They're only checking their phone here and there. And I think that's really where we've had the most success recently, especially on TikTok, is making those reels, is giving those. If like some of the reels that we have on TikTok, we haven't even released, we haven't even finished the song, but we know it's a great chorus. So let's give it to our fans. Like we have one chorus down, it's done. That's all you need right now. So I think there's ways around acting. I'm terrible at that. Like if you ask me to do a skit, skits don't work for me. That's not how we vibe. That's not our deal. We do make reels. We like to sing, kind of just show off what you kind of get by following us. Now, some other people's skits work amazing. Look at Connor Price, look at Nick D, guys like that. They know how to do that better than anyone I know, but I'm not the one that's going to get in there and for an hour a day try to come up with an acting skit to promote my song. We're
Yeah.
more, let's give them a little slice. Let's give them a little teaser. Let's see what let's give our fans something that they can enjoy and listen to over and over.
And kind of going back to like music specifically, of your released music, I wanted to talk about Rooster Crows for a minute because before that, you had three songs that came out: Smile, Backroads, Jack Honey. You mentioned Backroads was the one that you, Ethan, and Heath wrote early on as a group, which is really cool to see that come to life. But I would kind of describe those as as an outsider, those are like fun, upbeat, beat-based songs.
Yep.
They're there to get people moving, they're there to get people dancing, like whatever the goal was. But there was something really cool about Rooster Crows, at least from my perspective, that sort of marked a transition in your sound where it went from keeping with good beats, keeping up with like a good vibe. But the lyricism in that song felt like a next level in comparison to some of the early ones. What was different about writing that song?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like we were talking about a little bit earlier, is we do have this duality within our group, which is so cool. We do love to make club bangers. We enjoy making dance music, but there's also a part of us, and that's kind of the red dirt that I was talking about with the Davis brothers. They know how to make music. I mean, Ethan is just a wizard when it comes to throwing down guitar loops, getting the melodies hammered out right away. We think about a quick song, and those guys are just able to musically go. Heath's the same way. His songbook is deep. I bet Heath probably has 200, 300 songs in his catalog. That he just is a passionate writer. So, for us, we like that duality of being able to go, okay, yeah, we are this rap hip hop sounding group, but at the same time, if we're not making general real music, you know what I mean? And that's what I think of when I think of Rooster Crows, right? Is traditional music that doesn't have a beat that we created ourselves. So that's where that duality really showcases itself as, yes, we were writing pop, but then we also have this lane of songs. We probably have 15 or 20 that we cannot wait to get out that are just like Rooster Crows to truly showcase that duality that is within our group. So yeah, I mean that was my first time ever performing, which was crazy to be in front of a bunch of peers that have written their whole entire lives. So I'll never forget the old Commodore Grill, getting down and dirty with some amazing writers in Nashville for my first time.
But it was so cool I was lucky enough to be there to watch you guys perform. You guys did great. And like you can truly feel the synergy as someone in the audience. Like you guys have really found a way to mesh really, really well, which is super cool. And I know that like that vibe of having the lyricism in combination with the sound carried into some of your additional releases, such as Desperado, Skin and Bones, which I think is your most recent one, but also Outlaw, which is one of your first releases where you had a feature on it. What was that like? How did that collaboration come to be? And is features something you would ever want to do again?
Absolutely. I think right now, the thing that we're starting to notice is when you are on the outskirts, let's just say we all want to write with Hardy, we all want to write with Posty, we all want to write with Morgan Wallen, right? There's so much competition at the lower level, right? Like at the level that we are. And I think that at the highest level, collaboration is happening right now. Right. It's less competition and more collaboration at that level. So I think that's a successful model. And we need to apply that to ours as well, right? So anytime you can collab with a like-minded artist with that they have fans as well, I think that's a great opportunity too. So for us, that was really where we're like, okay, how can we segue this to get both demographics listening to this project? And I think that's the fastest way to grow. So many people are afraid to do that, but I think that's the fastest way. So I mean, we were able to get a hold of Clever just by online. I've interact with your favorite artists, guys. I mean, honestly, just support them, shoot them DMs. What are they going to say? No. So I basically just supported him on Instagram. I've listened to him for years and years. I noticed that he just recently transferred to a country lane. He was hip hop his whole entire career. He was signed by Juice World. He collaborated with Post Malone and Justin Bieber. And I just noticed that he was doing a really good job of transitioning into more of a songwriter for country music. And I just ended up reaching out, and he just got right back and was like, dude, I would love to put a feature on Outlaw. And I was like, it's kind of a story. Like, I was like, if you just kind of slam a verse in there, it might be tough. He's like, I got an idea for it. And then, a couple weeks later, you're waiting, you're just excited because, you don't know what they're going to come back with. Right. And I just remember opening up the email of his verse, and I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. It's one of those ones where it's really humbling, like he's done it a long time, and he's so talented that when I listen to his verse, I'm just like, what an amazing songwriter. It's very humbling. It's almost like, geez, I better go harder and harder and harder and harder if I'm going to make it in this, because his verse was just that good. And yeah, and it really just made for such a great addition to the song, and it fit. And for him to take the time to want to see the vision and make it fit was pretty special when it came back to us.
That's so cool. What you talked about, kind of this level and like the level of competition. I truly think that's the difference between the people that are going to ultimately find success and people that don't. Like being collaborative, building a network, building with your team. I think there's always going to be the story of the person that kind of like bopped around and kind of just tried to move their way up the ladder. But especially living here in Nashville, like you hear from a lot of the hit writers are like, we found our crew and we grew. And if you're a fan of the people that you're working with, I feel like that's an even bigger indicator of like, we're going to grow together. Cause like I would like your stuff regardless. So I think that's really cool that you were able to find that on the artist side as well.
And I think that's why we feel so home in this industry. We all went to war in whatever we want. We've all three of us at some point have been on the line with our coach yelling at us to condition, and we're puking, and you're like, dang, this is pretty hardcore. But then you look to the guy next to you and they're puking too. And then you're like, oh gosh, it's okay. Here we go. We're gonna puke together. We're just gonna keep it rolling. So I think that's where the whole crossover and from athletics to music has come in, is because we've been able to be a part of this team and being able to compete with these guys every day and be able to make music with these Davis brothers has just been amazing. And and once you put your head down and do the work, the opportunity is going to pop up. We've gotten asked to do some shows. It's time to go hit the road, so I can't wait to, we have a show on Monday down in Arizona.
Woo.
So yeah, we cannot wait. Shout out Big Ten Cotton Gin. We're coming. We can't wait to show you what we got. And they've been dancing to our stuff for a couple of years now. So it'll be a really fun atmosphere to drop it in. And once again, that's a collaboration. Right now we're collaborating with a dance hall, and that's where now 500 people are going to be in a spot that enjoy our music. So those are the things I think as an artist you can take. Like you said, if you have your team and you're prepared, those are the measurable steps that you can take as a unit that are only going to help your career go straight up.
You've talked a lot about like competition, and I feel like that's a word that's come up quite a bit today. How important is that to you in this artist lane? Or like, are there any other skills or characteristics that you really honed in your sports baseball world that you've brought with you to the music career that you think have just helped you in this journey?
Absolutely. I think just like sports in general, it's really easy to look at what LeBron James is doing. It's really easy to look at what the best players in every sport are doing. But the reason why they're so good isn't because they compete against their peers, it's because they compete against themselves. And I think if you just look at it, if you can break down your career, your strengths, your weaknesses to a level of how do I challenge myself? How do I compete against myself? I mean, and especially as artists, that's just, like I said, we're not where we want to be. We want to be way bigger. Doesn't everybody? Right. So I think being at that level, you get to look back and go, okay, I can't necessarily do what these people are doing. How can I get better in the environment that I'm in? And no matter what, if you can push yourself, push the people around you, push your team to grow. And it's either a banger or it's not. I mean, that's what it's like. It's like we have plenty of songs that are like, that's pretty good. We're close. It's not quite it. But when we really hone in, we can all go around and be like, this is a banger. We need to develop this. We need to get this right. It needs to be done right. And I think once you hold yourself accountable for, is this better than what we've done, right? The goal is growth. If you keep growing, no matter if it's, exponential or one step in that day, you can only get better. So I think that's the coolest part about this music industry is if you make better music than you made yesterday, you are going to continue to climb. And it's not competing against Post Malone. It's not competing against Hardy. It's competing against our group, Dando. It's competing against ourselves. It's challenging ourselves to be better. It's going out of your comfort zone, but still in that risk management mode that is like, yeah, that's still our lane, right? Because you're only going to be as good as the next song that you write, right?
Yeah, so true. And you talk about like metrics, and I mean, just talking about metrics for just a second, for being independent, like the numbers you've been able to put up both in Spotify, just like the number of streams you've been able to cultivate, the community you've built on your platforms, your social media platforms, like is really impressive. For anyone else listening to this episode that might be independent, singer, songwriter, artist, young, growing, any tips or things that you have found have been helpful? I know there's always a secret sauce, but anything you don't like, any tip that you think like this has really helped me on my journey.
No, absolutely. I mean, and that's the most important thing, right? Is you have to create your own secret sauce. How do you create your own secret sauce? By screwing it up. By being like, well, that's not what it's about. Right. So for us, we keep it simple. If we're dropping a song on Spotify, we're going to promote through Spotify. Right. We're going to find people, we're going to try to reach out to playlisters that are like-minded, right? It's once again, there's a lot of no's, right? We reach out to everybody. We send our music to a lot of people, and maybe they don't like it. Maybe they think it stinks. Well, that obviously they're not for us. They're not on our team, right? That's not who we want to grow with anyway. But if you work hard and you do your research, and you always have to be careful. There's definitely ways to do it wrong. You can get shadow banned if you're having bots and you're just paying somebody. That's not how it works, right? You have to do it correctly. You need to go through the source. If you're dropping something on SoundCloud, promote through SoundCloud, right? If you're dropping on TikTok, don't just put all of your eggs into the sound, right? There's a way to release music, right? There's a million ways to release music. We've released it all different times. We've gone 6 weeks without build up. Hopefully you're waiting to get heard from. We've dropped it in 3 days because we're so excited to just get it out. And, so there's a million different ways to do it, but you need to make sure that it works for you. Right. I mean, if you're going to put all the money and time into developing the music, you should probably have a rollout plan as well. Whatever that kind of touches back. Like I said, I don't like doing skits, but if we're dropping a song, it's time to get in the mode, go make a little quick music video out in the pretty, pasture that we have, and don't be afraid to post it. I think there's such a good balance of blasting it. I think you need to understand your audience. If you have Instagram, and most of your followers are friends, right, are actual people, it's probably not a good idea to blast your story over and over with your music, right? People are probably going to get tired of it, especially if it's mom, dad, aunt, uncle, friend. It's pretty hard to get a like. It's pretty hard to get likes these days. So, once you get out of your comfort zone, Instagram gives you all this stuff. TikTok gives you all your feedback. Look at your demographics and go, how can I cater this drop to them? And for us, our fans have wanted to see us sing it, so we get out there, we get microphones, we plug in, and we go play. Some of them, yeah, you got to do what you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes the wind's blowing while you're trying to make a thing and the microphone's picking it up. You're like, well, I guess we're going to lip sync it. I don't like doing that. It's not what I want to do. It's not the vision I have, but that's what we got to get done to get it done today. So I think that's really just small stuff that is a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. Draw out how much does it cost to get in the studio, because we do go to the studio. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a bit. Come up with your budget. If you're not putting money into the business, you're not going to get any back, right? And it's not cheap. Everybody has to do what they got to do to make this music dream go. But are you willing to do what you got to do to make it go? So I would just say, look to where your demographics hitting. Look to the cities that are listening to your music. We're popular in Los Angeles. Guess where we're targeting all of our ads? Los Angeles. Nashville, wherever you want. Clever was from Alabama. So now we want to put all of our stuff in Alabama so that we can, it really just is working off of demographics and hitting those numbers and being smart about promoting.
Yeah, that's such a gem. I feel like even from the podcast, I feel like I can always do more about exploring what the demographics are telling me because it's data. It's literally, you don't have to
It's
go out
a
and
lot.
pay for it. It's right in front of you. So great point. So you mentioned studio time and spending time there. You have an upcoming EP, Western Winds. Tell us more about that. And yeah, I can't wait to dig more into the studio as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Western Winds is the story of a young outlaw. It's our first project, and we really are going to try to hammer that home. Our idea here is a spaghetti western that we're the director to. Western Winds is just the story of a young outlaw who thinks he's hot stuff, and then comes to find out that while he's on the road, it can be pretty lonely. So I think from start to finish, he goes from cocky to a little bit despair to a little bit unsure if he wants to do that to finishing off like, yeah, this is the life I'm going to live. And I think that whole story is a really fun ride for the listener because you get to see and feel the emotion of this young man who's just starting off as an outlaw. And I think by the end of it, he realizes, I need a team. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to need a posse, right? So we leave it at this point where, okay, now he has to make a decision. Is he going to go be this big outlaw that is going to go do it and be the head of something, or is it going to fizzle out? So I think it's kind of cool. We leave it at this point where it's like he has a decision to make, and then that's what we want to set up for the next EP to show how this character is going to grow. And like I said, it's a spaghetti western, and we're the directors.
So cool. So, of this upcoming EP, there's a couple songs unreleased, a few that I know of. Any particular one track or song that's like speaking to you that you're like, I cannot wait for this one to come out. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Lonely Crow on there. Lonely Crow is coming out, and it's the first time that our outlaw is alone for the first time. He's riding by night, right? He rides by night so that he does that, so it's easier for him to outrun. And he's kind of in limbo, right? He's in this stage of maybe his horse is tired, he ain't had a drink of water, they're looking for something, and he's just lonely. And he starts to reflect on what his life could have been, not as an outlaw, had he not made those choices. And he starts thinking about the wife that he could have had, or maybe the kids that he could have had, and what it would have been like as opposed to being this, at the time defeated creature who's out there just howling with the coyotes because he's missing his home, he's missing his girl, he's missing his safe life. By the end of it, he has to pick himself up and keep walking forward. So I think that one I'm really excited for. When Ethan was laying down the guitar loop, we were thinking like, what is that? What sound are we looking for? I played some chords, and I was just thinking like, I'm like, dude, that kind of sounded like Juice World Lucid Dreams. And so he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, listen to this. And he was like, oh my gosh, maybe we can stay in that key. And we ended up designing it in this Juice World inspired guitar lick. And Ethan is just a wizard when it comes to that. I mean, he's truly like a blacksmith. Like you give him something raw and he's going to pound it out into something gorgeous. So he was able to just flow. So you can kind of see all the purpley room that I'm in right now. This is our creative studio, right? This is where we come up with a story. This is where we get the rawness done, where we can, have a track to work with. And then after this, we actually go over to our buddy, Han Audio. He's out here in Aurora. He is incredible. He masters all kinds of music, mixes all kinds of music, has an incredible setup. His in-home studio is amazing. I mean, his microphone it's like a $12,000 microphone. It's like a Telefunken, something amazing that he can just do everything with. So we are just in such good hands over there at Han Audio, and he is truly a member of the team as well. We go in there with this raw idea, lay it down. He adds the theatrical effect, right, which I think is so important to have. And he kind of has created this signature sound for us just by being in the room and understanding what we're trying to tell. So he's just as much of a storyteller as we are. And I highly recommend that, guys. Obviously, Nashville is a guitar town. So if you have a good song and a guitar, you can make it. And if that's your exact market, that's nice, right? That's phenomenal to be able to just be like-minded and be able to go to these places. But like in Colorado, Denver, that doesn't exist. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to find. There's nobody watching. It is truly how much can you make the song your experience? So I know for us not having that direct support of Nashville type, telling the story in the studio has become such an important piece of our music. And having a guy like Taylor Hahn over there is just amazing. He's once again another wizard, and I'm glad to have him on the posse. That's for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you've just built this incredible team around you of like you have like these A-list players of whatever their lane is coming in to collaborate on this journey. And I agree. I think if you're gonna have someone collaborating with you, you want them to bought in. You want them to be a fan of what you're doing. You want them to like what you're doing. And that's really cool. If you're going into the studio, I'm always interested to know, do you have like a recording day ritual? Is there like, okay, like every day that I'm going into the studio, it's like black coffee or like I'm doing this. Like, do you have any like, okay, I'm going to the studio, like these are my things?
Absolutely. For me, it's the same as pitching. It's just game day. When I was pitching, it was I didn't really care who stood in the box. If that was my grandmother, I would hit her in the back if we were playing baseball. Like I did not want her to get a hit, right? Like that's just kind of how I am. So for me when I go, I mean, I have a playlist. The studio's about 25 minutes away, so I got a game day playlist, and it has all my practice songs, right? It has my light vocals. For me, I have a raspy voice, so when I sing, I can hit like Post Malone songs like that are really good to get warmed up. But I have a couple songs on that are by a band called The Green. They're a reggae band. I've listened to them. We know those guys real well. Their lead singer is amazing. And if I get lucky, I can hop into his key here and there, and it really kind of helps tune my voice on the way. So I think that's one of the biggest things is for me is doing all my vocal warm-ups, all my exercises on the way to the studio. So one, I don't have to waste time in the studio because time is money, right? And then also to be able to come in there with like, oh, I'm ready to go. And then my last four songs before I get to the studio are just bangers, right? Like just straight up pump up. And then me, when I see the microphone, I'm home. Like I love it, right? Like it's a that microphone is just as much a part of the team as I am. So for me, it's just kind of a blank slate. I'd take a couple shots of Jack Honey and then get in there to get the nerves out of the way, and then we just go to work, honestly. And then once you get in there, it's just so fun. You loosen up, and then the creativity comes out. That pregame antsiness goes away, and then it's just collaborating again. So, but no, I mean, I think that's the coolest part of the studio is it's like this doesn't sound right. Well, it's because I don't sound right. It's because my mind isn't right. It's because I'm not saying it as a tone. I'm not just singing it like, live. You can just sing it and, kind of however it comes out, comes out. In the studio, it's like, no, I want to deliver this. I want to sound like this in this part. This is how I want to sound. If you don't sound like that, scratch it and make sure that it's right. Don't just, if you're going in there and get in studio time, make sure that you tell your story. Make sure that you deliver it. It's not just to capture it. Tell that story. This isn't a writer's round, right? This is your time to be you. Paint, be the artist.
I love that, especially music. We have videos, we have music videos and clips and et cetera, but most people listen to music audio. It's just an audio format. And so it's like, if you want them to have the emotional connection, whether that's an upbeat, happy party emotional connection, or for sad ballads, you want that more, heartache, you got to deliver it so that people can connect to it.
For sure. And you have to be hard on yourself. That's the biggest part is being like, is that right? No, it's not right. I want it to sound like this. All right, stop. Let's cut that. Let's go back to there. I didn't tell it right. Those are the things that are hard as, especially for someone maybe that doesn't go to the studio a bunch, right? Your first or second time in a studio, or you're just, paying for a project here or there. Make sure that it's right, right? Like pay the extra money if you have to stay an hour longer. Make sure that it's right.
Yeah, be proud of you're putting your name on something. Like make sure it's something of quality.
Yep.
Totally.
If you leave the studio with doubt, I haven't had that feeling, but I mean, I can only imagine that that's like if you get in the car and you're like, dang, that wasn't it. That would suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just be ready to go on game day and give it everything.
Yeah. No, I love it. And it's been so fun exploring like your journey in music and you as an artist. I'm curious because you've given us as listeners so many great pieces of advice or feedback. the way people can view things from a specific mindset. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Oh man, definitely from my father. Don't get too excited when you do good and don't get too excited when you do bad. If you can get through life like this, you're going to be able to make emotionless decisions. And I feel like if you can make emotionless decisions and be able to roll with the punches as opposed to good day, bad day, and good days are just as toxic as everything else. If you're just only going up and you're gonna that's gonna fade, it's temporary. It's still just an emotion because life happens too, right? We lose family members, we lose friends, babies are born, we have all kinds of stuff. Those are all going to be part of those emotions. So for me, it's just being able to accept everything and try to be as emotionless when reacting to it at all times.
That's really helpful. I'm the opposite. I feel every emotion to the nth degree. So I love that. I might be taking that one for myself. Um, so getting to chat with you today, Zach, Dando, the project that you're working on, what do you hope fans of your music tuning in today, or even potential new fans that this is the first time that they're exposed to you and your group, meeting you for the first time, what do you hope those people take away from this conversation?
Obviously, just that Dando is a group, that there are three of us, that these Davis brothers are amazing. They know how to write music, how to collab, how to be consistent, how to show up, how to be a dog, right? Like that's really what I want people to know is that there really are three of us putting our heads together to hopefully deliver this genre blazing type of music. We really want to be trailblazers on this journey that is current music, right? We want to be able to ease that gap between hip hop and country. I feel like if we can ease that gap through our music, that we can truly create this product that everybody can come together and enjoy as a unit. I want unity through this. I want to be able to build demographics together and hopefully be able to enable by doing that create more opportunities. Invite other artists to come over instead of keeping them out. Maybe go out of your comfort zone to hop into this lane. So we're just really creating a vehicle, hopefully for the future, that we can everybody has country music. If you go down the bayou, they're still going to be playing blues and their version of country music. If you go out to the West Coast, they're still going to be playing their version of country music. Country music is what is you, right? Is your soul. So I want to create this lane, this vehicle, this opportunity for other artists to create their country music in a safe environment where they're not being that's not country. This isn't country. They ain't country. Everybody possesses country, and I want them to know that when you're with Dando, when you're rocking with Dando, that's what we're doing.
I love that. You mentioned that you have an upcoming show in Arizona. So exciting. Any other shows that you guys have planned right now that people who might be interested in checking you out would be able to see you?
We actually will be announcing some shows here coming up. I would guess within the next month. We're just actually hashing all that stuff out. So the good news is we have a bunch of stuff on the works, but we only have one show right now, the Arizona show that's on paper. So if you guys want to follow along with us on the journey, we'll be able to announce all those coming up probably within the next month or two. So hoping to play some festivals here. We'll definitely be playing some rodeos in Colorado. So should be a pretty fun little summer for us. If you guys want to tag along, that'd be amazing.
Amazing. And so, Zach, thank you so much for taking some time to come on the podcast today.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we got to chill. We haven't chilled since like a year ago in Nashville. So it's
I
nice to
know.
just sit down and kick it for a little bit.
Totally. I so appreciate it. And it was such a pleasure getting to meet you when you were out here and like super cool that you spent some time out here in Nashville as well. And who knows, maybe you'll be making a trip out here relatively soon. Would love to see you again sometime.
Yeah, our goal is to get in that Americana Festival in September. So hopefully we'll be cruising out for that, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other real soon. As soon as we touch down, we'll get together and write a banger.
Sounds like a plan. And so every time I have a guest on the show, I always close with the same final question, which is, what is one thing you would tell your younger self?
Oh my! One thing I would tell my younger self is to roll with the punches. You have no clue where you're about to go, right? You better learn how to swim, or you're going to get left behind. I would just say, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't question when things don't go right. You know, when I got released from baseball, I thought my world was over. You know, so I would just say all of these things are going to take you somewhere. And in fact, the one that goes like this, the roller coaster will get you there faster. Those ups and downs make it to where that ball can travel faster. So, that's all I would say is strap in and don't feel sorry for yourself because I'm more than capable to do everything that has been put on my plate and just had to grow to get my opportunity.
I love that. Okay, speaking of baseball, were you a sunflower seeds or a chewing gum kind of guy?
I was a sunflower seed, probably chew guy. Unfortunately, I lost a tooth from chewing tobacco, so I had to quit
Oh,
that out. But I was definitely a sunflower seeds type of guy for sure. It was my favorite. Nothing better than spitting seeds and not having to do anything in the second inning while the game's going on. Like I said, watching the sunset with 10 other degenerates getting ready and no one knows who's going to go play is a pretty fun feeling because you're separate from the dugout. So being in the bullpen was a pretty amazing experience.
I love it. Have you guys ever thought about doing like your own take on Take Me Out to the Ball Game or some baseball? So I feel like with your background in baseball, that would be so cool to create. Like the NFL has like their Sunday night football or whatever. You guys should make like a baseball song. I feel like that'd be sick.
Well, and I think honestly, right there, that's such a smart idea, right? That we didn't even touch on. There's so many opportunity for syncing license, right? Yeah, we should make a baseball banger. We've tried, but it hasn't come out the way we want, right? Like there's
I
elements
think
of
you
it.
need me as a writer on it, just saying.
Oh, I think so, but no, we've called it like "Welcome to the Show," and it's it'll basically be about we're here. The stage, and the pitching mound is pretty much the same thing. Whether it's music or baseball, it's time to tighten up your cleats and get going. So that's exactly right. And I mean, with all the video games, I mean, there's you can get syncing license and do all kinds of things. So that's actually a really good idea too. For we mentioned the collaborating, making songs,
Yeah.
making I got a buddy that makes jingles and he's killing it. Made a jingle for like, California milk, like gold milk or something, and just went off. So I think that's the other part of it too, right? Like, yeah, we definitely are going to write a baseball banger here pretty soon.
I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity if you didn't, you know?
Swing and a miss, right? A swing and a miss. It's exactly what it would be if we didn't do it. So, no, that's I would love to get on another Zoom call and get that done. That'd be a blast.
I would be totally game, just throwing it out there.
When's
Um,
your next? When are you going next? What do you have on your agenda coming up?
Me, I've just been trying to keep busy here in Nashville. I've been here over 2.5 years now, which is wild. This summer will be three, and it's been a wild ride. I'm really appreciative of what I've been able to do and just playing rounds, getting cuts, and building great relationships. That's the most important part to me.
It's been so fun watching you play because I remember when we first met, you're like, I'm a writer, and I had no idea that you played. And so once we got home and I saw you gearing it up and doing all the rounds, I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So keep it rolling. We're always watching over here, and we're always supporting. So I'm proud of you. Great job.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that. And it's when I first moved here, it took me 10 months to play my first writer's round because I was just so nervous. Like
For sure.
I grew up in marching band, not like being an artist or whatever. So, but yeah, it's been super fun. And the rounds out here are great. So next time you guys come out here, you'll have to like plan a couple because it's fun to get up there and play some songs.
Oh heck yeah! It was amazing. I did it once, and I can't wait to do it again. Like I said, once you'll be the first person we hit when we go when we touch back down.
I love it. Amazing. So, if people are interested in following along with your journey, keeping up with your music, where can people find you?
Yeah, Instagram, Dando Music, TikTok, Dando Music. Both of those should pop right up. TikTok, you're going to see a lot more of us being artists making the music. Instagram, you're going to see a lot more promo. So whatever kind of floats your boat, you're going to get information from Instagram, and you're going to kind of see us a little bit more in action going up. But we're shooting all kinds of visuals for our EP. I'm going to start that process. We'll have a bunch of video coming out from our first show, so we'll be uploading all kinds of stuff. And if you tag along, you'll be able to catch a pretty cool start of this ride.
Amazing. Yeah, everyone wants to be one of those day ones, and you have an opportunity now. So, Zach, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I truly appreciate it. And for anyone listening in, if you are not already following along with the So Rude podcast, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at sorude.podcast. We're also on YouTube where you're going to see the full video, get to meet the guests that get to come on the show. And if you're not already, please make sure to subscribe and follow along. The growth and being able to show an audience is what's going to allow us to continue to bring on even more amazing guests to share their journey, their stories, and their tips and tricks. So make sure to follow along. And as always, have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll chat soon. Bye now.